Well, here we go again.
Here we are.
Nothing but lies, 2020. We're here to discuss this video that's going to put Donald Trump, in my opinion, in prison. But before we need to take care of some housekeeping. So go ahead, Beth.
This video is used under the Fair Use Act. All opinions are for commentary and entertainment purposes only.
Very good. Thank you. As she bust her hoof on the floor. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over this and have basically like a reaction video. But I want to point out some of the things that were said in this video and why these things were said. I think it's important that we try to figure out what the hell was going on. And
why is this call so important?
Because it's a president calling a Secretary of State during a election after the election's been over to pressure him to try to change an outcome that's already been determined. But I don't believe that this call was made so that the Secretary of State would overturn the election. This call was made more for the people like Q, the ones that really don't believe in the system that we have. Because that's when you don't believe in the election process and how it came through, what was done, then you're not really a constitutional American. You're just a waste on the system, basically. If you don't believe in the system, get the fuck out. Period. If you believe that the election was a fraud, I don't know what the hell you're doing in this country. If Trump truly believed that this was a fraud, then why did he give up? Why did he quit? Why would anybody quit if he had the evidence that he says he has? Why would you stop? If I had the evidence, I wouldn't stop until it was out there. I don't care who stood in my way.
You would take it to every court available, not stop at 60.
No, you couldn't have got me to stop. But the problem is that they never showed evidence. They never had evidence to be able to put it forth so that people could look at it. They keep saying about courts not giving them standing. Well, that's not the reason why every case was thrown out. Quite a few of the cases in the Supreme Court were thrown out due to standing, but that wasn't because of Trump. That was because of idiot senators and congressmen in states that, in Texas, Ted Cruz, Louis Gohmert. These idiots they're contesting elections in other states. Yet we're dealing with a COVID pandemic. What are they doing?
They're in another state fighting another battle.
Yeah. Fighting a battle that's not even their battle. Not even their battle, period. And that's why this call is so important. The impeachment is important. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know the title says, that this is the impeachment. Forget the impeachment. No, I don't want to forget the impeachment. There's nothing that I can say or do that's going to have any effect on the impeachment. I can't talk to my senators and my congressmen that would make any difference. What I can do is put out what I believe, put out what I've seen, put out what I've read and gone over, and what the laws is. So this call was made, I believe that it was made on January the 1st. It was released on the 2nd, though. A lot of people got pretty upset that they thought that Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State of Georgia, had released this call. It wasn't Brad.
But Trump would have had a fit if it was Brad.
Oh, of course. Oh, let me tell you something right now. They would have known it and put it out there so quick it's not even funny. Donald Trump released this call. There's a few clues in there, but you're going to notice Donald Trump used some words that really, if you have an IQ above 50, you'll be able to guess through it. But if you don't, you're going to see some words used like certify and a lot of the numbers that he's put out are just horrendous, just unbelievable. But let's get into it and let's see what they got to say. I'm going to stop it where I think I should. It's probably going to take a while. This is probably going to be a 3 or 4 part. We'll take on it after we get done with a little bit today. If somebody wants to come in, we'll go ahead and email us and we'll send you the link. You come on in and say what you got to say or ask questions that you want to ask. So let's get on with it. Here we go.
So this is Mark Meadows, the Chief of Staff, just so we all are aware. On the line is Secretary of State and 2 other individuals, Jordan and Mr. Germany. With him, you also have the attorneys that represent the President, Kurt and Alex, and Cleta Mitchell, who is not the attorney of record, but has been involved, myself, and then the President. So, Mr. President, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, Brad and Ryan and everybody. We appreciate the time and the call. So we've spent a lot of time on this, and if we could just go over some of the numbers, I think it's pretty clear that we won. We won very substantially, Georgia. You even see it by rally size, frankly. We'd be getting 25, 30,000 people a rally, and the competition would get less than 100 people, and it never made sense.
That part right there it really gets me. We could tell it by rally size. Well, here in America, we don't tell anything by rally size. Somebody might like to see a clown on the stage. And that's exactly what they came out for. I don't care how many people think that they love Donald Trump. This bullshit about loving or hating your elected official is bullshit. This started back with Bush back in like 2000. There was a poll that went out during the 2000 election cycle. And the poll was, who would you rather have a beer with? Al Gore or George Bush Jr.? I don't want to have a beer with any of my elected officials. I want them to do their job. So when we start talking about love and hate, I don't hate anybody. I don't hate Donald Trump. I'd have to respect Donald Trump to hate him, first of all. I think he's a shitty, really shitty human. But by heart, I'm a constitutionalist. So all this love and hate shit, you take that shit and stick it where the sun don't shine. I don't care about that. I don't want to hear what somebody does or what they're gonna do. I want to see what they do. Let's get back into it.
But we have a number of things. We have at least 2 or 3, anywhere from 250 to 300,000 ballots were dropped mysteriously into the rolls. Much of that had to do with Fulton County, which hasn't been checked. We think that if you check the signatures, a real check of the signatures going back in Fulton County, you'll find at least a couple of 100,000 of forged signatures of people with who have been forged. And
he makes a claim about the signatures being forged without any evidence whatsoever. You can go on to Georgia's website. There's a PDF that you can download that shows the investigation that was done, I believe, December 14th. And it was an investigation of 10% of the vote in Cobb County. And what they found was that 99.99% was what they came out accurately with the signatures. 99.99%.
Can't get much closer than that.
No, you don't get much closer.
That makes him the father.
Yeah, that makes him the daddy. You the daddy. 99.99%. Out of 150,000 votes, 32 of the votes were found to have signatures not on them. And these are called non-cured votes. So North Carolina has and most states do, that they have an ability for the parties themselves to be able to cure these ballots. And the way that they do that is that if you've made a mistake, they understand that there's a mistake there, especially on something that's mailed in. So you're doing it at home and you don't have a way to answer a lot of questions. I had a relative that had an issue with one, and luckily it worked out. But when we talk about the curing process, that's a process that's handled by the parties themselves. If the Republicans had a shitty ass turnout rate for their, all they wanted was people inside the counties so they could yell and stop the system. Other than that, they didn't offer anybody that could actually take care of elections. So when you do a cure-in, if you notice that there's something wrong with the vote, wrong with the ballot, you're able to get in contact with that person, at least make attempt by letter or by a phone call or an email to let them know that there is an error with their ballot, and they can come up there and correct the error. And they do this so that, let's say if we look at a signature with our eyes, it's subjective. We're looking at that, and we might want to look at it different than what somebody else does. That's why they came up with computer reading. They read these photos. It's pretty hard to, they put in points. It's like a fingerprint, right? A fingerprint has something like, what is it? It's 21 points.
Yeah, but only a certain amount of points are needed to prove guilt or not guilt. So it depends on how you read it.
Right.
Who's reading it.
So it's the same thing with the signature. There's certain points on it that a computer can pick up, a scanner can pick up and say, okay, well, this point is correct, this point is correct, and that's how they read it. So when we're talking about looking at signatures with the optical eye of somebody who might have a bias towards a party, you can have it on both sides, right? You can have a Democrat who says, no, this signature is that person, even though it is. You have a Republican who says, no, that's not it.
Yeah.
These things are important, especially in our day and age. There's a lot of things that are said in this phone call that will prove my point there. A lot of things.
Well, you got to do that special math to get to where he gets to.
Oh, he doesn't math. He doesn't math at all. Well, let's get back to
it. We are quite sure that's going to happen. Another tremendous number. We're going to have an accurate number over the next 2 days with certified accountants, but an accurate number will be given. But it's in the 50s of thousands, and that's people that went to vote and they were told they can't vote because they've already been voted for, and it's a very sad thing. They walked out complaining, but the number is large. We'll have it for you, but it's much more than the number.
This is something that's really important here, because this story changes within this whole phone call. That's difficult. That's difficult for Trump. If the story changes in the same phone call, it's because he's noticing a pattern. Donald Trump does this really well. Most politicians do it really well. They look at the emotion, or they can hear the emotion of somebody, and that's what they're playing towards, that emotional outreach. And that's what he's doing. He's looking to see, hey, he's going to say something here shortly where he's talking about ballots being shredded, and he's going to say 300 pounds of ballots. Oh, no. In his mindset, that's not enough. So he changes it from 300 pounds to 3,000 pounds. These are things that a normal person really wouldn't pick up on. I happened to watch this probably entirely too many damn times. But I want to find the issues. I want to find what's going on, what's really going on. And unless you know it, you can't argue the point.
That's a predatory mark.
It is. Very much is. Let's get back after it.
Of 11,779. That's the current margin is only 11,779. Brad, I think you agree with that, right? That's something I think everyone, at least that's a number that everyone agrees on. But that's the difference in the votes. But we
Right there is a huge, huge problem. I really want to discuss on this issue right here. So, in a court of law, one of the biggest things that you need to prove is intent. Intent is really hard to prove, really hard, because you basically have to be a mind reader.
Yeah.
So, proven intent, for somebody selling stolen equipment or something, or selling drugs, that's not that hard to prove, and it's easy to, that motive is pretty easy to come up with. But anytime that you have a phone call like this, proven intent that he intended, that there was some outcome that he intended. He intended to solicit some outcome. The problem is that there's two intentions here. One intention deals with us, the listener. Another one deals with him, the speaker. That's a pretty sad thing to go over. But him saying that about the votes that they all can agree on what the number is, 11,779. That's a major issue for Mr. Trump. Major. Let's get back after it.
We've had hundreds of thousands of ballots that we're able to actually, we'll get you a pretty accurate number. You don't need much of a number, because the number that in theory I lost by the margin would be 11,779. But you also have
this is why it's going to take me so damn long with this, is because the way he goes. So he says the number, we're going to get you the numbers you need, but you really don't need much of a number. Let's remember that this is the same man that said every vote should count. Every vote. If he was true about what his word is, then it does matter. It does. And there's 4 or 5 good times in this phone call where he literally says it doesn't matter to him. He just wants one more. He just wants one more vote than Biden.
Which he can't say his name.
Oh, no, he can't say his name. No. Saying Biden's name, he'll say competitor.
Yeah.
He'll say the other side. He'll say the Democrats.
That would admit defeat.
Oh, it isn't even a matter with him admitting defeat, right? He's failed pretty much at everything in his life.
Yeah.
The part where let's face it. I mean, he's a grifter, right? He's a con artist. The parts, he doesn't look at it like failure. He doesn't want to be called a loser. We saw this when he started this campaign. We saw this when he started in 2015. You saw it in 2012. You saw it in 2008. What was the first thing he did when Obama won in 2008? Fake birth. He wasn't born here. The birther.
Yeah.
He did that because Donald Trump backed John McCain. And everybody that Donald Trump has ever backed that lost, which is pretty much all of them, every one of them that he's backed that lost, he's came out and said he was begged to back him. They begged me to back him. And I did. And like a schmuck, I did it. He accepts nothing. He gives nothing.
No.
Let's get back after it.
substantial numbers of people, thousands and thousands, who went to the voting place on November 3rd, were told they couldn't vote. Were told they couldn't vote because a ballot had been put in on their name. And, that's very, 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 very sad. We had, I believe it's about 4,502 voters who voted, but who weren't on the voter registration list. So it's 4,502
All right. He's just going to keep doing it. And I'm just going to have to keep pausing it and going over it. Here's the part that's really bad to me. This man was president of the United States. You can't get a ballot without being on the registered list. You can't. It can't happen. Now, there's some states that you can go to, that you live in, that you can do what's called same-day registration. Some states. Every state makes up their own election laws.
But Georgia's not like that.
No,
Georgia's not same day.
no, Georgia, by law, is 2 weeks. You have to register before an election 2 weeks before the election. So the only way that they'll issue a ballot is if you've registered 2 weeks before that election. So to make a statement that there's 4,500 or what people that were not on the registration that voted is not only asinine, it's not only just downright. I get a loss for words here. The words I want to use are not correct.
Dumbfounded?
Oh shit! I stay that way. I stay
What is
that way.
IQ points when you turn it on?
Yeah.
That's what she
I
said.
get retarded as hell. Oop, that's the word I was looking for. Retarded as hell. You can't make this shit up, people. This is a man that had the nuclear codes, thank God. He didn't know what the biscuit was, and he sure in the hell didn't carry it.
He thought it would come with gravy.
Military people, you know what the hell I'm talking about when I say biscuit. Thank God he did. He wouldn't know how to bust through the plastic casing. So we're happy about that. He tried his damnedest to start a war at the end. Couldn't get one started. But damn. I mean, damn. You can't get a ballot, but you voted? Tell me where this place exists. Let's go back.
Voted, but they were not on the voter registration roll, which they had to be. You had 18,325 vacant address voters. They had the address was vacant, and they're not allowed to be counted. That's 18,320.
He gets this information from the wonderful Veritas project, which isn't that much of a project and really is pretty shitty for being called Veritas, but
It's right up there with his lawyers.
you ain't lying. Holy shit, you ain't lying. Oh, OD'd on hair dye.
I want to find out what the hair dye was because I never want to use it.
Yeah, I don't ever want to use that hair dye either, ever. But where the hell he gets that number is horrendous. These numbers that he spits out, that's the funny thing. He puts it out in the ether. That's all he's got to do. He just throws it out there. And these idiots just gobble this shit up. Just munch it up. And if you're a true American, and I mean a real American, I'm talking about somebody who just says they are, right? Somebody that votes and pays their taxes and does the best that they can for their neighborhood. Your power starts at the local level. The president's nothing but a mascot. This one failed miserably, but he's a mascot, right? He's there to talk to other countries, to make sure that we're, the shit that's being taken care of, but it's ceremonial a lot, right? We're putting more of an issue onto the president than that needs to be, right? The first branch of government, that's the legislation branch. That's the branches that we need to worry about. We need to worry about the judicial branch. We need to worry about your local government. That's where you make change, people. You don't make change at the president. I'm sorry. You see what happened. You see what happened. And thank God that and I'm an atheist, but I even got to thank him for that one. Thank God he was a worse president. He was a worse leader. Because if he was just a tiny bit stronger, he might have been able to do what they were doing on January 6th. Might have been able to pull it off.
Yeah.
Might. And wow.
And if it weren't for one brave cop,
One brave Capitol police officer stopped. He there was a lot of them that stopped it, but that one that kept Pinks and Pelosi from getting snatched up by that mob. If it wasn't for that man right there, because that would have gave Donald Trump the right to be able to call martial law. That's what he was looking for. Everybody that went out there and then went to the rally and then went up there to show how bad you are as a president or as a patriot.
they were tools.
Yeah, that's all you were. You were a tool. That's all you were. That's pretty damn sad. But take it for what it is. Let's get back after it.
Smaller number, you had 904 who only voted where they had just a PO, a post office box number. And they had a post office box number, and that's not allowed. We had at least 18,000 that's on tape. We had them counted very painstakingly. 18,000 voters having to do with Ruby Freeman. That's she's a vote scammer, a professional vote scammer and hustler. Ruby Freeman. That was the tape that's been shown all over the world that makes everybody look bad. You, me, and everybody else. Where they got number one, they said very clearly, and it's been reported that they said there was a major water main break. Everybody fled the area, and then they came back. Ruby Freeman, her daughter, and a few people. There were no Republican poll watchers. Actually, there were no Democrat poll watchers. I guess
this part right here is just so stupid. It's not even funny. So the video that they put out that Rudy Giuliani and his people put out was cut up. I noticed it the first night that it came out. I was watching The Idiot on Pandemic War Room with Steve Bannon. I don't watch MSNBC or CNN or any of those channels. I know what they're going to say. I watch the channels where you're going to find out the most information about what that side is doing. It doesn't, being a circle jerk doesn't help me at all. I already know what they're going to say. I know what, and I love Rachel Maddow. She's awesome. I've watched her since she came on with Greg Overman when she used to fill in for him.
Maybe that's the reason they watch CNN. Steve Bannon's always got it running in the background.
Steve Bannon's always got it running in the background. But the whole thing about the water main break on his live, he was doing a live election night. And it was brought up, it was said on his show about that. All of the things that you're going to hear in this conversation was brought up on Steve Bannon and Newsmax and One American Network. And there's some others out there. Charlie Kirk, this grifter is unreal. He's as bad as Nick Fuentes, the 75% white, 25%. He likes to call himself 25% Mexican, 75% white. This guy's a loser from the word go. If he doesn't end up in prison, I don't know how he won't. He's taking more Russian money than Trump has. You got Charlie Kirk. You got a guy that's down at in Florida.
Don't forget the twins.
Oh,
the Hodge twins.
The Hodge twins. Yep. Let's get back after this.
They were them, but there were no Democrats either, and there was no law enforcement. Early in the morning, they went to the table with the black robe, the black shield, and they pulled out the votes. Those votes were put there a number of hours before. The table was put there. I think it was, Brad, you would know, it was probably 8 hours or 7 hours before, and then it was stuffed with votes. They weren't in an official voter box. They were in what looked to be suitcases or trunks, suitcases, but they weren't in voter boxes. the minimum number it could be, because we watched it and they watched it certified in slow motion, instant replay, if you can believe it, but had slow motion and it was magnified many times over. And the minimum it was 18,000 ballots, all for Biden. You had out-of-state voters. They voted in Georgia, but they were from out of state, of 4,925. You had absentee ballot sent to vacant. They were absentee ballots sent to vacant addresses. They had nothing on them about addresses. That's 2,326. And you had drop boxes, which was very bad. You had drop boxes that were picked up. We have photographs and we have affidavits from many people. I don't know if you saw the hearings, but you have drop boxes where the box was picked up and not.
Those weren't hearings. I don't even come close to calling those hearings. Those were shows. 2 of them were actually put on in hotel rooms, in the ballrooms. When you have a hearing, that's actually legislation. And you will have that, and it will have not just Republicans. It'll have Republicans and Democrats. Majority of the time, it's going to be half and half. It's not going to be, and whoever holds the House, right? If a Republican holds the House, then that means that the chairman will be a Republican. If a Democrat holds the House, then the chairman will be a Democrat. And that's where the overflow is, right? So if you have 7 Democrats and 7 Republicans, then you're going to have, depending on who is the chairman, is going to be the one that has that deciding vote. So when he says, when he's seen this, that's kind of ridiculous. Let's get back to it.
Not delivered for 3 days. So all sorts of things could have happened to that box, including, putting in the votes that you wanted. So there are many infractions, and the bottom line is many, many times the 11,779 margin that they said we lost by. We had the state is in turmoil over this. And I know you would like to get to the bottom of it, although I saw you on television today and you said that you found nothing wrong. I didn't lose the state, Fred. People have been saying that it was the highest vote ever. There was no way. A lot of the political people said that there's no way they beat me, and they beat me. They beat me in the poll. As you know, every single state.
They beat you. He says they beat me. They beat me.
It's almost admitting defeat.
It's not almost. It is.
We won every state. We won every state house in the country. We held the Senate, which is shocking to people, although we'll see what happens tomorrow or in a few days. And we.
He says we won every state. We won every state house. What? How? If you won every state, why are you not president? If you won every state,
You would be president.
yeah. Hello, McFly.
We won the House, but we won every single state house, and we won Congress, which was supposed to lose 15 seats, and they gained.
He won Congress. They won the House. They won Congress. What the? Seriously. Then why is Nancy Pelosi still the Speaker of the House? What the shit?
Alternate reality.
Out there, son. Out there. That's alternative facts.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put that in there for you, Dad.
I think 16 or 17 or something. I think there's now a difference of 5. There was supposed to be a difference substantially more. But politicians in every state, but politicians in Georgia have given affidavits and are going to that there was no way they beat me in the election, that the people came out. In fact, they were expecting to lose, and then they ended up winning by a lot because of the coattails. And they said,
hold on. He said coattails, because of the coattails. Please. Because of the coattails. You don't have coattails if you lost. And no, not every Republican said you won. Not even by a long shot. Because I voted for Biden. And I know a bunch of Republicans that did.
There's no way that they've done many polls prior to the election. There was no way that they won. Ballots were dropped in massive numbers, and we're trying to get to those numbers, and we will have them. They'll take a period of time, certified. But
They will take a period of time, certified. Hold on a second. They were already certified. I do believe. Did they not certify them?
Yes, they did. Even I think he says it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Certified.
Well, wait a minute. It'll take a period of time. He uses this many times. He uses this a lot in his speeches. People are talking. Political people are talking. It'll take a certain amount of time. When?
Where is that on the clock?
You got me. You got me.
Half past a certain amount of time.
Yeah. Well, I wish I'd have said that shit to my daddy. When he gonna be home? In a certain amount of time.
It'd be a period of time.
Ooh, what? My dad. Oh shit. My dad loves sentences. Ooh, I'd hate to make a sentence like that. If I got in trouble, I always try to do it like the lowest words possible for problems, right? Like, I didn't shut the door. I will shut the door, right? You didn't want, like, I got in trouble because I was out racing my car, which I never did that ever. But a lot.
Lies.
I didn't want to get out where I had to write, 2,000 damn sentences about, why I fucked up on the goddamn Constitution. Holy shit. Wow. Sometimes you just got to sit back. I mean, we're 8 minutes and 26 seconds into this. This might take a little while to do.
That's all we started.
we got an hour and 2 minutes to go, Jack. It's gonna be a while. There's so much in it, and I'm having to stop myself from stopping it because there's so much there.
So much there.
Holy shit, there's so much there. It'll take a perpetuity of a time. It'll take time within purple titties. Purple titties is this.
Shout out.
Shout out. Those who know.
But they're massive numbers and far greater than the 11,779. The other thing, dead people. So dead people voted, and I think
I can't get past that one. Dead people voted. Dead people.
Do you know how hard that is?
That's a motherfucker. Huh? It's hard. It's hard for the ones that weren't cremated, but the ones that were cremated, goddamn it, it's really
Pull yourself together.
Pull yourself together. Huh?
Yeah.
You think they went in the damn voting booth and said, "Damn, am I ashy? I need some cocoa butter. I'm ashy." Damn. This shit is getting fun, ain't it? It's just, wow. What else do you do? What else can you say about this man? Honestly, what else can you say? Some of the shit that comes out of this man's food hole is just ridiculous. First of all, Mark Meadows is there. Two other lawyers for Trump is there. Alex and the other one. And then the woman who's not the attorney at record. How's your life going,
She's
sweetheart?
not an attorney at any
Holy
record now.
Shit. How's your job going? Huh? Well, if it was a time to keep your damn mouth shut, it sure was on this call. And who thought this call was okay? This is why I say if you think that this call was put out by Brad, you're wrong. This call was put out by Trump.
Yeah,
This call was meant, right? This call was meant to anger and inflate the situation. This call was put out so that January 6th would happen.
I don't know if I'd use the word inflate around Trump, but seriously.
his head might take off. His ass, he might actually ass get bigger. It's big enough, Jack. It's big enough. It's big. Now he's having. I hear he's playing golf now with the damn janitor.
Paying him extra.
They got people running out there picking up his Titleist balls because they don't want anybody knowing he's playing with Titleist. Tiger Woods actually hurt himself so he wouldn't have to play with Donald Trump anymore. That's sad. Go ahead, go Tiger.
The number is in the close to 5,000 people, and they went to obituaries. They went to all sorts of methods to come up with an accurate number, and a minimum is close to about 5,000 voters.
They went to all kind of methods to come up with this number for the dead voting.
Right, abacus.
For some of y'all who don't know what one of those are, they're a math. They're a calculator for Japanese, Oriental. Actually, I don't want to say Japanese. Oriental, Asian Americans. Well, not Asian Americans. There wasn't American back then, but this motherfucker said went through all kind of methods to come up. We went through the obituaries. Did anybody look at some of the numbers that they put up? Because I did. There was over 1,000 of the numbers that he put up that died in the 1800s. Holy shit, when his great grandmother finally gonna lay down and shut the fuck up. Holy shit. But he found these people. He found them. And why? And this is a question for you, I guess. Where's Jay Sekulow? Why isn't he on this call? Where's Giuliani? Why isn't he on this call? Where's Jenna?
Giuliani's trying to get his hair done. Jay Sekulow's already had his hair done. Jano's got a hit run to, you know.
Hey, Jay Sekulow and Joe Sekulow might have had a gig that night. They might have been playing somewhere. You know, they play the blues. I bet they're playing a lot of blues right now.
That'll come in handy later.
Why the hell did we work for Trump blues? Because they ain't getting no money. Not for Trump. You ain't getting nothing. Jenna probably still has a smelling issue ever since she had to deal with Rudy.
Of course, she got somebody that ran a stop sign she's going to defend.
She had on her LinkedIn that she was a constitutional lawyer and she's never filed a case until here. And when I say her LinkedIn, it was before she filed any cases. Her big case was a DWI case. That was her big case. And she lost it. That dude's serving life. His first DWI. He blew 0.799. That's all they needed. Just one more. Just give me one more. I'll be okay, but just give me one more. He blew 0.0197999. Holy shit. I'm trying to have some fun with this if y'all can't tell. So let's get back after it.
The bottom line is when you add it all up and then you start adding, 300,000 fake ballots, then the other thing they said is in Fulton County and other areas, and this may or may not be true. This just came up this morning.
This is January 2nd, people. The call or the release of the call. The vote has already been certified and is headed to Washington. He says in this call, this may or may not be true. It just came up this morning. Hold on a second. It may or may not be true. But it just came up this morning. For all those who voted for Trump, you're right. Your vote didn't matter.
That they are burning their ballots, that they are shredding ballots and removing equipment. They're changing the equipment on the Dominion machines. and then that's not legal. And they supposedly shredded, I think they said 3,000 pounds of ballots.
He said 300 pounds, but that's not good enough. See how fast that squirrel up in his head popped him in the damn nostril? Said, no, not 300. 3,000. Fuck 300. That's not enough. We got to get some emotions here. We got to get some people mad. 3,000 pounds of ballots are being shredded. I want y'all to think about how much a piece of paper weighs. Then think about how much 3,000 pounds of shredded documents weigh. You can't hide that. That's not something you can hide. I got twisted in that shit in 2000. I thought the election was kind of funny then, and I watched some stupid ass shit when the internet was young. And I watched these videos of these people saying, "Oh, look at this ballot right here. This ballot right here was for, it was supposed to be for Gore, for Gore, but it was for Bush, and it was Bush and Clinton, and the ballot was from 92." And they literally got it in their fucked up mind that it was from Gore and Bush. Holy what? And it grabs you like a damn Twizzler. Let's go back. Let's get back in this.
And that just came to us as a report today. And, it's a very sad situation. But Brad, if you took the minimum numbers where
that's a major issue right there, where you hear there's a glass or crystal that's been hit on the desk. That's on Trump's mic. You don't hear it kind of fuzzy from a different mic. That's from Trump's mic. That's why I say, and if you listen to the audio, Trump is super clear. The only ones that sound like they're coming through somebody's butt crack is everybody else. Let's get after it.
we're many, many times above the 11,779. And many of those numbers are certified, or they will be certified, but they are certified. Those are numbers that are there, that exist, and that beat the margin of loss. They beat it, by a lot. And people should be happy to have an accurate count instead of an election where there's turmoil. There's turmoil in Georgia and other places. You're not the only one. We have other states that I believe will be flipping to us very shortly. And but this is
other states are going to be flipping to us very shortly. What other states?
How's that going to happen?
I understand what he believed could happen, but it's actually not even in the Constitution for him to be able to do that.
Right.
What they were touting as being that it was the first, that the legislation in each state had the right to determine the laws. Well, that is correct. They do have the right to determine the election laws. Those election laws are set up during legislation. And there are certain cases in certain states where if they see something happening, we could look at North Carolina, right? North Carolina changed voting law while there was voting going on in this election. And, nobody contested North Carolina, right? Like a Democrat didn't contest it. A Republican didn't contest it. It had more irregularity than any of the other disputed states. This is a problem. These are issues that have to be worked out, and we have to work them out. We can't work them out through what we believe is the news.
Is that the state? What's the state that the guy in the wheelchair?
That's North Carolina.
That's North Carolina.
Yes. He's one of the ones that was contesting the states.
Right, but not his state.
But even when he was asked specifically, what evidence did you go by?
Right.
to be able to try to push out millions of votes because that's what they wanted to do. He couldn't give any evidence whatsoever. That's destructive. That is crazy. If you have evidence, offer it. If you don't, and you just have rhetoric, that's all you have. You're not arguing facts anymore. You're just plain arguing for nothing. Let's get back to it.
This is something that's, as an example, I think in Detroit, and I think there's a good section of your state, actually, which we're not sure, so we're not going to report it yet. But in Detroit, we had 139% of the people voted. That's not too good. In Pennsylvania, they had well over 200,000 more votes than they had people voting. And that doesn't play too well. And the legislature there which is Republican, is extremely activist and angry. But I mean, there were other things also that were.
That right there, that is one part that will that's going to approve of what this phone call was for. They're extremely activist and angry. That's bad.
Inciting.
That's inciting. That's inciting. All the entire times that he's sitting there saying that we had to fight for our country. You haven't lost your country, people. You've lost your rabbit ass mind, but you haven't lost your country.
True.
The only way that you could lose your country is by somebody else coming in here and taking it over. Your vote counted. Regardless if you like the outcome of it or not, your vote counted. If you voted, it counted. But just because your side lost doesn't mean that you lost your country. You're not going to win every vote. You're not going to win every person. But you can't at all put yourself in a position where you're talking bad about a country that you love and support. These things are not okay.
Well, now a bunch of people are going to lose their rights to vote because they are being charged in the riot.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And
so now they will have no say in.
None. They'll have no say. And how Trump started this, and then what did he do? What did he do for you, Proud Boys? He walked away from you. What did he do for you, Q? He walked away from you. What did he do to all these people that came and shit on our in our house? He walked away from you. Did he give you a pardon? No. And here's the funny part. You saw this in 2015. You saw this in 2016. When he would have rallies and he would say in his rally, guys like that, if it was other ways, other time, they wouldn't be walking out of here. They'd be carried out of here in a stretcher because everybody kicking their ass. He's not looking at dazzling you with his policies, with his actions of how hard he can work for. This man took 312 days out of a 4-year term to play golf. That's just play golf. That's not the rest of the time that he took off.
On the taxpayer's dime.
Yes. And stole that money.
He went to his clubs and went to his hotels and
went to his clubs. He was renting out golf carts to the Secret Service.
and apartments to them.
Now, I might have some disagreements with people about what I think is a good president or what I think. Jimmy Carter sold a peanut farm that he had in his family for 150 years when he became president. We're not talking about a peanut farm that was losing money. We're talking about a profitable company, and he sold it to be president. That's when you know somebody's moral compass isn't going in the right direction. Don't forget, Donald Trump never gave up power of his businesses. He used the presidency to enrich himself. It's already been proven that, and it's going to be proven more. Let's get back.
Almost as bad as that, but they had, as an example, in Michigan, a tremendous number of dead people that voted. I think, Mark, it was 18,000, some unbelievably high number, much higher than yours. You were in the 4,000 to 5,000 category, and that was checked out laboriously by going through by going through the obituary columns in the newspapers. So
I'm only doing this for comedic bullshit, but laboriously. That's as bad as somebody going to a damn McDonald's and saying they have a plethora of menu items. You're still at McDonald's. And you saying plethora?
Great coupon.
Are you
Are you
kidding
Big
me?
Bear?
Please, honey. I don't like a medical whip. I like the helmets. All right, let's get back after it.
I guess with all of it being said, Brad, it's the bottom line. And provisional ballots, again, you'll have to tell me about the provisional ballots, but we have a lot of people that were complaining that they weren't able to vote because they were already voted for. And these are great people. And, they were shell-shocked. I don't know if you call that provisional ballots. In some states, we had a lot of provisional ballot situations where people were given a provisional ballot because when they walked in on November 3rd, they were already voted for. So that's it. I mean, we have many, many times the number of votes necessary to win the state, and we won the state, and we won it very substantially and easily. And we're
then why didn't you get the electoral votes?
Much of this is very, they're certified. Far more.
There we go again. Certified. They're certified. Well, then why didn't you win? Damn. Shit.
Certified than we need, but we're getting additional numbers certified too, and we're getting pictures of drop boxes being delivered and delivered late and delivered 3 days later in some cases. Plus, we have many affidavits to that effect.
So, Mr. President, if I might be able to jump in, and I'll give Brad
Mark Meadows for you, ladies and gentlemen. At least today, he's not crying.
a chance, Mr. Secretary. Obviously there are allegations where we believe that not every vote or fair vote and legal vote was counted. And that's at odds with the representation from the Secretary of State's office. What I'm hopeful for is there some way that we can find some kind of an agreement to look at this a little bit more fully. The president mentioned Fulton County, but in some of these areas where there seems to be a difference of where the facts seem to lead. And so, Mr. Secretary, I was hopeful that, in a spirit of cooperation and compromises, there's something
that would be fine to do. If you had a case before where you were suing Georgia, if Donald Trump had a case that he had suing Georgia, the phone call without Trump, the phone call between lawyers would be fine. Even I'll say now, the phone call between the chief of staff and the lawyers would be fine. This phone call is not fine. There was no case at this time. There was no case pending in the Georgia courts between Donald Trump and the Secretary of State's office to make this call. That's very important. Very important. let's get back to it.
We can at least have a discussion to look at some of these allegations to find a path forward that's less litigious.
Well, I've listened to what the president has just said. President Trump, we've had several lawsuits, and we've had to respond in court to the lawsuits and the contentions. We don't agree that you have one. I didn't agree about the 200,000 number that you mentioned, and I could go through that point by point. What we had done is we gave our state senate about one.
That's a very important part. We don't agree that you have one. We're not talking. This isn't a Democrat. Brad Rushford he's a Republican. He voted for Trump twice. He wanted Trump to win. So did Ryan Germany. He's a Republican. He wanted Trump to win. I doubt they do now. But he voted for him. So we're not talking about never Trumpers. We're not talking about the Trump haters. We're talking about at least men of character. To stand up to your own party, and especially to stand up to your own party head, the President of the United States. And Brad sounds a little bit weak. I like Ryan a little bit more than I do Brad, but that's one of those like-love bullshits, right? I respect Ryan for what he said at the start of all this bullshit when Brad Raffensperger was threatened by the very party that he's elected to. He was threatened. His life was threatened. His wife was threatened. His kids were threatened. That's not how elections go. That's not how politics go. And if you think it is, either educate yourself or get the fuck out.
Takes guts.
Now, if he was a Democrat and they really thought this wasn't the first phone call, they called 18 times before they finally got this phone call. And there's other things in this video. We're going to listen to a little bit more, but and then call it a show. We'll probably do 15 minutes on each one, then make the last one 17 minutes and 20 seconds. That's for y'all that can't math.
Depends on which calculator you're using.
Yeah, which abacus you're not using. Click, click. But it's important that we understand what's going on here. So let's get down at 15, and then we'll discuss a little bit. If some of y'all want to come in, we can. We're not going to go too long. We'll probably have part 2 up Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm not going to promise, but Tuesday or Wednesday. And then we'll go from there. Let's get after it.
1.5 hours of our time going through the election issue by issue. And then on the State House, the Government Affairs Committee, we gave them about 2.5 hours of our time, going back point by point on all the issues of contention. And then just a few days ago, we met with our U.S. congressman, Republican congressman, and we gave them about 2 hours of our time talking about this past election. Going back, primarily what you've talked about here, focused in on primarily, I believe, is the absentee ballot process. I don't believe that you're really questioning the Dominion machines, because we did a hand retally, a 100% retally of all the ballots.
Yeah, I want to stop it there because it brings up the Dominion machines, and I think I want to cover that quite a bit in the next one. But I want to stop the video there. I do want to try to push through to some issues with this. I know I'm trying to be lighthearted at this. What I feel is not lighthearted, and I don't think that we're out of the woods yet. And I don't mean by Trump. I mean by people like Trump. I think Trump showed us
The dark side of people.
the dark side of the fringe, right?
Yeah.
The fringe.
Right.
Look, there is absolutely no difference between the alt right and the alt left. There's none. They both lead to the same place. If we can't get along and work out our differences, my kids, my grandkids, your grandkids don't have a shot at all. There's some major problems in today's educational systems. There's some major problems in the way that we actually utilize what should be a good medium.
But if we don't discuss it, then there'll never be a togetherness on it.
Right? We need to
An
discuss it,
understanding.
but we need to own up. We need to own up to what is our fault. We need to own up to it isn't my neighbor's fault if my life sucks. It isn't my neighbor's fault that my kids don't like me. It isn't my president's fault why I don't have a job. We had to stop the blame shit. We had to start taking responsibility for our actions. We have to stop the blame. You make you who you are. You want to be a good, strong person, then be that. You want to be a hateful person? You want to be somebody that would rather go off of what somebody else says instead of what you can read and find yourself? The Constitution is a living document. That's what our forefathers wanted. They knew that we would have issues. They knew that there would come times like this. But if we don't know about that Constitution, we're less for it. That Constitution is only as good as the men that defend it, the women that defend it. And the only way that you can defend it is by reading it and trying to understand it. And in today's society, we have all the information at the touch of our finger. And instead of using it to show everybody how good you look in your car at an angle, let's use it for the good of your kids, the good of ourselves, the good of our grandkids, the good of our country, and the good of humankind. So I think I'm going to call it there. You got anything?
What was that show ending? Good night. Good luck.
Yeah. All right, y'all. I appreciate it. Just me just spouting off bullshit, but
More shows to come.
more shows to come. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be doing part 2 on this. Like I said, Tuesday or Wednesday. Anybody's welcome to join after we're done going over the video and we can have discussion. I really don't like a whole lot of people that agree with me. I really like to discuss things with, I don't like a circle jerk. I want people that want to test me and test my beliefs and test my knowledge. And hopefully by doing that, I can show what I believe is right and real and what true reality is for me. And maybe be able to show some of y'all how to find out this information or how to be able to better understand maybe an oath that you took or to believe what we should believe. So I thank y'all. Enjoyed it. Y'all be good. We're
Good
out.
night.